Hey guys, Mr. Hanson here for your weekly broadcast for our last week of new content. Um, so we are finishing up Romeo and Juliet. We are going to be reading Act 4, Scene 2, all the way to the end, which is going to be Act 5, Scene 3. I practiced so I could say it right this time. Um, Now, you guys, this week I would like you to watch these videos. I have made them optional before, but I think, one of your part of your discussion question at the end of this week is going to be based on your viewing of these. Now, I would prefer that you read the play in its entirety first before you watch this. I think, well, you could maybe watch like the Zeffirelli one first if you want, but all of these are going to be quite different. The Shakespeare in Love is just going to be a live rendition, but you'll see from Leonardo DiCaprio and the Haley Steinfeld, yeah, I think I got that right. You're going to see that this death scene has been tweaked quite a bit. All right, so part of your question, which we'll get to, is going to deal with how different productions and things have interpreted this. Okay. Oh, actually, here's your question as it is. Now, since we're on our final, guys, this question is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to have more that it entails, so maybe just prepare for that a little bit. So you have 3 parts in this time instead of just 2. And again, guys, I can't emphasize enough, do a paragraph at least for each of these. And a paragraph, I would say, is minimum 3 or 4 sentences. I would say shoot for 4 or 5, okay? A lot of these you got to expound on. You can't just half-a it. You got to do it, okay? And especially this last one is worth 50 points, okay? And when I say pass incomplete, those passes are still going to be weighted, okay? So just make sure that you're doing the best that you can on this. And again, I wouldn't wait till the absolute last minute to do it. Okay, so part 1, just to explain. In Act 5, Scene 3, we see that Romeo dies before Juliet wakes up from her sleep. Yet many of the clips this week show that Juliet, waking shortly after Romeo takes the poison, and gets to share one last. They get to share one last moment together. All right. So in the play, what I mean by that is Romeo dies, okay, before Juliet wakes up, and then Juliet wakes up and she sees Romeo dead. A lot of playwrights, or I'll just read this. Many playwrights between the late 17th century and up to modern day changed the play so that Romeo shared a substantial dialogue with Juliet in a tomb, or at least a moment of recognition, okay? So from what you watched and what you read, which is more tragic to you? So this is your opinion question. Romeo dying before Juliet wakes up, or his staying alive long enough to realize his mistake, okay? Now the play, how Shakespeare designed it or wrote it, is not depicted this way, but I think, some playwrights and things, directors have some leeway to maybe change this, So, tell me, do you think this is more tragic or less tragic to have them share one last moment? Okay. Some people even turn the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet into a happy ending where he stopped just in time. Yeah, I think that's too far, but that's just me. Okay, part 2 on this, guys. At the end of the play, the prince declares that in the case of Romeo and Juliet, some shall be pardoned and some punished. But he does not go into more detail than that. All right. In your opinion, who should be punished? Okay. And I prefer you guys, when you're writing this, this is going to be another 1 to 2 paragraph thing. Don't choose more than 2. Just 2 people that you think are culpable in this and should be responsible. And I want you to also choose who should be pardoned. So anyone who's involved. Okay. They could be alive or dead. Okay. And again, no more than 2. I want you to expound on your answer. Don't list, I think Capulet and Lady Capulet and Lady Montague and all this. Make sure you're justifying your answer in a sentence or 2. Okay. Just as a fun fact, Shakespeare borrowed this story, Romeo and Juliet, from a guy named Arthur Brooks, I believe. And in his version, the nurse ended up being banished, and the apothecary, which that's how they pronounce it in the play, was hung, and then the friar was pardoned. Shakespeare doesn't do that in this play. And so just, as I list those to you, you don't have to choose those, But again, whoever you choose, I want you to justify your answer, okay? And again, I think Shakespeare left this open-ended because the play is very open-ended. And actually, this kind of goes into our third part, which we'll talk about now. One of the great things about Shakespeare is that he never outright says what a theme of his plays are. He presents ideas, he suggests, he nudges, but he never outright says, what it is. Okay. A great example of this is he has a play called The Merchant of Venice. And I've seen some people hate that play because they feel it's very anti-Semitic, which is against the Jews. Some people have said that play is actually in support and in favor of, being nicer to the Jews. And keep in mind, this is in, the 1600s. And then some people said it's just kind of middle of the ground. He's not making a stance either way. And the beauty of that play is, people could interpret it any which way. I'm not saying the theme is a beautiful theme necessarily, but, we could look at Romeo and Juliet and look at a number of themes and argue justifiably pretty clearly what Shakespeare is trying to say about love or young people or about feuds or about money or any of that stuff. I think you have some ground here that you can argue a point. So, what I would like you to do, I am asking you this, so you are going to do that. So I'm asking you what you think the major theme or lesson was from the play. And then I want you to justify your answer. And again, you'll notice on all three of these guys, for the most part, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. The only way to get this wrong is if you half-a it and you don't answer or justify your answer. Okay? Again, I'm not looking for, I'm not trying to have you guess what I think. I want to see what you think and why you think it. Okay? You want to support it. Okay? That's a general English response, I guess. Okay, so 3 parts, at least 3 paragraphs. Shoot for 4 sentences each. I know that might seem a little hefty, but this is our final for the week, and it's much, much less than what it would have been had we been in school. So, okay. Lastly, you guys, you do have a quiz, which is again 5 questions. You want to read through these scenes. So, yeah. All right, guys, and as usual, if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And guys, I know that you're stressed and that you're done and you want to be finished, and I don't mean to add extra stress on you, but yet many of you have to get on top of this. Some of you, I have very deep concerns about how little work you've turned into me. I have been grading everything on Monday, and I've kind of put off grading late stuff, for that reason, just so you guys are trying to keep on top of it a little bit better. But please be on top of this. I would very much prefer not to get 5,000 assignments on the very last day of the term. Okay, I know some of you are going to do that to me anyways because it happens every time, and I have a feeling it's going to happen again. But don't please don't do that if you can help it. Just try to be on top of this, and again, reach out if you need help or anything, and I can meet with you online or exchange emails, whatever you want. Okay. But good luck to you guys in the reading. It is a little bit shorter, so that should kind of help ease things. So good luck to you, and I will see you on Tuesday, and we will discuss these scenes as we go along. Okay, thanks, guys.